Two. Go ahead.
Right. We are at my friend Ryan West's house. He has a great setup. See, there's
Yep.
Ryan. Wave hi.
We're out here with Ryan this week, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got an awesome setup.
We got
So
an awesome setup. We couldn't go to the radio station, so Ryan offered his services and his studio for tonight's show. So I greatly appreciate that, Ryan.
most definitely.
And we are the B-Dawgs, and over on this side is Stefan Gritty Gradine.
Yes, I'm here.
And we are going to talk some sports. We've got some interesting things going on. We're a couple of days away from the free agency, and there is going to be a lot going on. And as they put it, there's a lot of players that are getting a lot of bags. So let's get started.
Most definitely.
All right.
So as we look into free agency,
Right.
which is just now coming up,
Right.
and it actually started today, and you saw the frenzy
Right,
that
but
goes.
but they officially do not sign until Wednesday. But
yeah. It's like Tuesday at 11:30 when it opens up.
Right.
But you can get a pretty good grasp of how free agency is going to go, and we saw that today.
Right.
It all of a sudden 10 a.m. hit, and it just went ballistic. My phone went crazy. I know
Yep.
everybody else's phones were going crazy. It was very intense. Some no name teams, I want to say, but
Right.
teams that didn't make the playoffs made big splashes, trying to like we talked about earlier, being desperate.
Right. Right.
And I thought that Detroit actually came out on
They-
the upper end of the first
Yeah.
day of free agency. I
Well,
thought it was
it's
pretty-
amazing how the head coach for the Detroit Lions was a Bill Belichick
Yeah,
alum, as you would say. And actually, as more Belichick coaches are going head coach, then they are starting to, take over. They have,
okay.
they're making moves. So like Matt Patricia took Trey Flowers.
Yeah.
They signed a Nickelback, and funny, it's not the band. It is it's actually a cornerback that plays the fifth spot on a team that has like 5 wide receivers. So you have that so-called Nickelback. Signed him to the biggest contract. You've got Flowers. They signed a tight end. A lot of people are moving, and normally that doesn't happen that quickly. So,
Yeah, we got it now. But yeah, I mean, you're totally correct. Trey Flowers is a guy that I really wanted to have, especially with the news that we got, the sad news on Sunday. But it was a business decision, first of all, and you don't really, how do I put this? You don't really understand how much somebody does for you
right.
until you know that it's the end, I
Right.
should say. And that was the case with Justin Houston on Sunday with us. And
Right.
kind of, Sunday it didn't really kick in. But today with the resurgence of free agency, which a lot of football fans and sports fans look forward to every year, and in their respective sports as well,
Right.
you realize that, okay, this is real. Justin Houston's gone. He's probably talking to other teams. And then Trey Flowers gets picked up, and you're like, oh, man, where's our edge? Where are we going to get an edge rusher from? And
Well,
it may be in the draft. So
Well, then I thought maybe we could get Suggs
Yep.
from Baltimore.
Oh,
And as
goodness.
soon as we heard about that, he goes to Arizona.
Yeah.
So the Arizona Cardinals has him, and it's like, oh my goodness.
And that's actually a good point, a good landing point, because if Arizona decides not to go with Kyler Murray with their number 1 overall pick,
Right.
maybe they get Quinnen Williams, and all of a sudden you do have a leader at the front end of the defense with Quinnen Williams coming from Alabama.
Right.
Then you have Suggs leading the linebackers core. and then you have Patrick Peterson running the secondary. So
Right.
that could actually be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, but
with
as
him
long-
even with him being as old as he is.
Right, but as long as Kingsbury is the head
Yep.
coach, and they're not going to fire him at least until after season.
Yeah.
But I seriously doubt that too. He could probably have the worst season, and they'll keep him.
Oh, yeah.
And yet they got rid of Steve Wilkes.
After 1 year.
Yeah, and
After 1 year, you had the 32nd ranked defense. The only defense worse was the Chiefs.
Yep.
And then, Josh Rosen just didn't have anything to work with. Banged up offensive line all year. David Johnson banged up for a little bit. At some point, you have to give him some help. I mean, can you name a receiver off that Cardinals team besides Fitzgerald?
Fitzgerald.
That's it.
Yeah.
And he is the face of the
Right.
Arizona Cardinals, and it's been that way. I heard, what was that? It had to have been Saturday. I was on my way to baseball practice, and I heard that he has had 18 different starting quarterbacks in his career.
Oh yeah.
That's tough, man. And he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Think about that.
First
Ballot Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Think about that, man. You have guys who have quarterbacks their entire career who are lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Fitzgerald is still putting up production even without a consistent quarterback. The most consistent quarterback he's played with, Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer.
Yep.
Those are the only two guys who played multiple seasons with him.
Yep.
And, I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, those aren't even – yes, Kurt Warner's a Hall of Famer, but at the time that Kurt Warner was playing – they weren't great.
Right.
Their careers
But
were
Kurt
great.
Warner made him great.
Yeah, Kurt Warner did make them great. They went to the Super Bowl,
Yep.
etc. And, I find it amazing that you struggle with the quarterback position and you're still great as a receiver. That shows you how good you are in the locker room, how much you sit down with those young quarterbacks, new quarterbacks, go over game film, and you're still productive on your side of the game as well.
Well,
So-
he's the definition of a consummate professional.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And he's been with them since he was a ball boy for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
But yeah, as you were saying, all these people right now, like Kansas City, I was thinking, okay, is Kansas City going to make any moves? And they really hadn't made any moves. They cut Justin Houston. But who are the teams that you see? There's, I would say, 3 or 4 teams that are really making moves. Buffalo Bills,
Yep.
Oakland Raiders,
Yep.
Detroit Lions, and Arizona Cardinals. Okay, how good were those teams last year?
Last year they weren't good. They weren't very good at all.
Right.
But when you take what Oakland has in their skill positions, and then you couple it with what they have coming this year, on top of the draft, that out of those teams you listed is probably the scariest team. And you didn't list Washington, but Washington doesn't really scare me because their quarterback competition is between Colt McCoy and Case Keenum. So,
Right.
I mean, yes, they landed Landon Collins. A lot of people, he was a very sought-after safety defensive back in this free agency class. But with that being said, you also have to look at Washington is probably not a playoff contender this year either. So, looking around the board, Detroit, probably not a playoff contender, especially with the way that division is set up. You look at the Rams, or not the Rams, the Raiders.
Right.
They have one more year in Oakland. A horrible Oakland, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go on to Las Vegas. And we've been talking about it over the last 5, 6, 7 months that the Raiders aren't playing for this year. They're playing for Vegas. It's going to be a new season, new stadium, new group of fans that come in. And you're going to be in the entertainment planet or entertainment capital of the world as well.
Right.
That's what they're looking forward to, like with Antonio Brown. Maybe landing a couple other big guys. Trent Brown, even though people don't really give him the respect that he's due, he came from a great offensive line that really dominated the best defensive line in the AFC Championship game.
Right, absolutely.
He came from the side that D Ford's bringing pressure on, and nobody even touched Tom Brady in that AFC Championship game. So that shows you how good he is. I'm really surprised to see New England let him go, but as we've talked about, New England don't keep high-priced players because they don't need it.
No, absolutely not. And they've found a way, obviously, because Tom Brady has played with different linemen, different running backs, different tight ends, different wide receivers, and he's still been very successful. The consistency is Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
No doubt.
But as I was saying, though, Washington too, that these are the teams right now that are terrible.
Yeah.
Now, whether they'll be terrible this year or not is yet to be seen because the season hasn't started, and we haven't even actually officially started free agency. But the thing of it is that all the good teams are sitting back.
Yep.
Now, I know the Eagles have traded for Deshaun Jackson.
Which was actually kind of surprising to me.
Right. But Washington Redskins supposedly didn't have money, and yet they were able to throw out $84 million and $45 guaranteed to Landon Collins, who I really wanted. I wanted Landon Collins there, and he didn't, and he wasn't there. But that's okay. We wasn't going to pay him that money anyway. So that's good in that sense. At least, I would have hate to have seen. Not only did we have Eric Berry, whether we're deciding to keep him or not,
exactly,
and get Landon Collins for that much money.
Yeah.
So we got the Honey Badger though, and we got him for supposedly 3 years, $42 million. That's a good acquisition.
Yep.
Great safety. And the good thing about him is he plays the ball. He's a ball hawk.
Yep.
Eric Berry is a little bit of a ball hawk, but we really haven't had a ball hawk since Marcus Peters got traded the year before.
A lot of people do say that we haven't had a ball hawk, which we actually did have a ball hawk last year, this past season, that he ended up getting hurt on his first defensive snap as a rookie.
Right.
Where he had a sack against the Cleveland Browns and Armani Watts.
Right.
We saw his ball skills on display in preseason and in training camp, etc. The boy knows how to go and get the ball.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Which makes it even more exciting that Tyrann Mathieu also knows how to go and get the ball. He is a ball hawk first, and he's a tackler second, but he's a very efficient tackler. Even if we do end up keeping Eric Berry now gets to teach two ball hawks the opposite side of the game. Yeah. How to play in the box, how to play over the top, how to be a ball hawk. Why? Because Eric Berry has been all three throughout his career.
Right.
Granted, from injuries or whatever.
Right.
You lose a step, now you got to be a tackler. You still have your steps, now you're a ball hawk.
Right.
Exactly. Eric Berry's been a cover safety. He's been a box safety. So I think it's a good pickup. I definitely do. I wanted the Honey Badger 6 years ago when he came out of college.
Right.
Back when the Chiefs were actually projected to get him in a mock draft. That shows you how good mock drafts are, by the way, guys. And I've wanted him ever since. And I saw the news today, and the first thing I said was, I'm going to get a jersey.
There you go.
I'm going to get a jersey.
Oh, yeah.
I've wanted him here in Kansas City for a long time, including last year when he signed that one-year deal with the Texans.
Right.
I wanted him, or the franchise tag with the Texans. I wanted him then.
Right.
I wanted to see if we could get him away from the Texans, and this year we did. We just had to wait a few more months. And
yep, absolutely.
Here he is now. So, looking at the rest of our defense, though, if you really think about it, what else do we need? We need probably a free agent DB,
right?
Outside a corner.
Right.
And that would allow us.
We need a linebacker that knows how to tackle.
Yeah, we do.
Because Hitchens doesn't know how to tackle.
We do.
I mean, he was supposed to come from Dallas and was supposed to play a lot better than he did, and he really stunk it up.
And that's the thing is that's a scheme. It's a scheme setup because he played great in Dallas.
Right.
And what does Dallas run? A 4-3.
Uh-huh.
Did we run a 4-3 last year with Hitchens? No. Hitchens can't run with running backs.
No.
Ragland can't run with running backs. You have to put guys into the right scheme in order for them to be successful. And we saw it before, like with Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters is a man guy, a man-to-zone corner.
Right.
Okay? He'd much rather press and jump routes, and he'd also like to drop back into coverage.
Right.
And jump routes as well. He's a ball hog, like you mentioned just a few seconds ago.
He is. And a lot of times that he takes chances. Well, that's okay. It's okay if you give up a touchdown every once in a while and then all of a sudden, you get a pick six. Or
Exactly.
I mean,
He single-handedly beat the Carolina Panthers 2 years ago
There you
when
go.
Kelvin Benjamin caught the pass late in the game and he stripped him and took it in. He's a ball hawk, not just for interceptions,
Right.
but he is a turnover machine.
Yeah.
And he didn't really get to put that on display this year, but I wonder how healthy he was after he hurt his leg. I really wonder how healthy he was, or was he just playing for a contract, trying to show, hey, I'm not hurt, I'm not injury prone, I can be on the field. So, I'm interested to see how that plays out this year as well.
Yeah. What I was saying, Terrell Suggs, I didn't even realize that he was even on the market.
Yeah.
Until I found out he was off the market with the Cardinals. You've got, Landon Collins.
God, that's going to be weird seeing him in red instead of purple.
Yep.
Goodness gracious.
Yep, absolutely. Jesse James moved teams. I'm trying to think who he went with. It wasn't Detroit. It was somebody else, and I cannot think of it right off the bat.
It wasn't. I don't think it was Cincinnati.
No.
Cincinnati made a move today for a tight end, but I don't remember who it was.
No,
I don't think it was
Cincinnati.
Jesse James.
The only thing they signed was a tackle.
That's what it was, a tackle. Yeah.
So, but you see all these moves. The majority of these moves are made by teams under 500.
Yep.
Teams that didn't make the playoffs. Teams that are trying to get better, but a lot of times they get so desperate. Well, you got Detroit. They have a lot of cap money.
Yep.
But the funny thing is, have you ever heard of a team say, I can't get this player because we don't have any money?
Right. No, they got the money somewhere.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know, the way the NFL works and the way the NBA works, 2 salary cap leagues, if you go over the salary cap, you have to pay a luxury tax.
Right.
So, with that being said, you can go over the salary cap if you want to pay big-time taxes on what you're paying over the salary cap. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people see that, like the Chiefs before we cut Justin Houston, $10 million. That's what we had to work with. Well, in reality, you have what to work with is what Clark Hunt wants to pay.
Right.
Ultimately. So, I think it's like 200%. On something like that on a luxury tax. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's like 150 to 200% is what you would pay in your taxes, just like a loan payment. So that's how like you said, Washington supposedly didn't have money, but they signed a guy to 88 mil or 86 mil and 45 guaranteed, whatever it was.
84 mil for 6 years. So that's 14 million.
That's a lot of money, and now the Chiefs signed Tyrann Mathieu.
Right.
13 mil a year?
14
million a year?
But it offsets the $14 million that they got from Justin Houston.
Exactly.
So you would say that's even money.
Yeah.
And, I like Justin Houston. He was a good sacker. He was really great in the early years. But once he got that contract, he never played to that contract.
Nope.
And I know a lot of times they actually get paid for their past
most definitely
performance, not their future. But the ownerships are like, okay, I'm paying you this money to, get all this performance that you've done back here, and they totally see it differently.
Yeah.
You get a few people that will, Larry Fitzgerald and all that will overperform their contracts. But most of them, they just have trouble paying or getting what. Dominican Sue was the best example.
Yep.
Went down to Miami. He didn't do anything. So the Rams signed him for a few bucks, and he went back to playing as well. But it helps to have the Donald next to him.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. One thing that I will say about the Justin Houston, the contract and whatnot, do you realize that he ranks in top 5 in run stop edge rusher in the NFL over the last 6 seasons?
Really?
And that's during the contract. So everybody says, oh, well, look at his sack production.
Right.
Well, his interceptions went up. He had an injury, which, like we just talked about with Eric Berry, if you lose a step, You have to get better at something else.
Right.
Which he lost a step, and he actually played on that torn ACL for a couple games.
Yeah.
You know, when they were trying to figure out what was going on. Justin Houston is a trooper. Okay? That's more of a testament of the trainers.
Right.
The trainers need to know, hey, look, we need to back you off, etc. And all of a sudden, Justin Houston's knee kept hurting and kept hurting. Much like we're seeing with Eric Berry, much like we're seeing with other people, like Mitch Morse, who he missed 7 weeks
Right.
with a concussion. A mild concussion is what they said.
Right.
7 weeks. And a bye week was in there.
Sometimes I wonder if the medical staff for the Chiefs is that good.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if
you're
they're the
questioning
greatest.
it.
Yeah.
Well, and then you had Justin Houston on a hurt knee in the playoff game against Pittsburgh.
Covering Antonio. Yeah.
Antonio
goodness.
Brown, arguably, I would say he was the best wide receiver at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And you're chasing him 30 yards down the field? Come on. Are you kidding me? Not even Eric Berry at that time, because he did play in that game.
Yep.
Couldn't catch him. And now you've got a linebacker who can only run like 5-10 yards, to get to the quarterback, and you've got him running 30 yards downfield.
Twice.
Right, and both of those plays were key. The last one sealed the deal.
3rd and 6, I'll never forget it.
Yep.
3rd and 6, I'm sitting in section 310, row 12, right on the end, sitting next to my cousin and my best friend. Never forget it. 3rd and 6, stadium's rocking. We're like, oh my goodness. They're deep in our territory.
Right, so if we
or
can
in their
stop
own
them,
territory. I'm thinking, the punt, we get the ball back a little over a minute. And then all of a sudden you see 5-0 chasing 84. What are you doing? And it was horrible. It was horrible. Early in the game, the same thing when Antonio Brown caught the first catch of the game. It was 42 yards down the field.
Yeah.
And the only reason Justin Houston caught him is because the ball was underthrown. And I'm like, what? That was the first time that Bob Sutton should have been gone. But on the Justin Houston subject, a lot of people see the sack number. They see the 22.5 sacks. They're like, oh, well, you need to repeat that. Michael Strahan didn't repeat that.
You don't necessarily need to repeat that, but 15 sacks is doable.
Yeah, but 15 sacks, let's say 10 sacks, 9 sacks, and 3 interceptions. Do you see where I'm coming from with if you lose a step, you have to be better somewhere else. Like if Justin Houston, later in his career, he realized, I can't get to the quarterback. Let me get my hands up. Yeah. You saw the interception. There's 2 interceptions this year.
Yeah.
What do? I can't get there. Let me put my hands up, and let's see what happens. Father Time is undefeated.
Right.
Father Time slows your body down.
Yep.
And Justin Houston, I think, adjusted better than anybody else that we've seen so far, including Eric Berry, because Eric Berry hasn't been on the field to see if he's improved any.
Right.
But Justin Houston brought that fight, that anger, that want to the defense. And I don't know. I haven't figured out who's going to bring that back yet. D Ford's real quiet. Chris Jones is like the emotional leader on the defense.
Right.
But I don't know who's going to be that analytical leader. Hey, this is what we see in film. This is what we're going to do. You need to listen to me. I mean, Eric Berry's been gone for a long time. Can he step back into that role that Justin Houston ultimately took over in Eric Berry's absence?
But when you have a 31st ranked defense, you need to you need an overhaul. So I'm willing to get rid of some players just to see how that works. See if we can get a new leader.
Exactly.
Never hurts, because we had a horrible defense, and we were out rushed or out yardage by the Patriots 2-1. We were outplayed. They had twice as many plays. They had twice as many time on the clock, and yet we were still one overtime away from beating them and going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah,
think about that. Just for a second, let's get back on. Let's look at the AFC Championship game just in a quick overview.
Right.
No points scored by the best offense in the NFL in the first half. The 3rd best offense all time in the NFL. Mind you, the Chiefs would have only had to score 26 more points to be the first ranked offense of all time.
Right.
That puts it in perspective. You don't score in the first half, and you lose because of a coin flip in overtime.
Right.
That shows you right there how special your offense can be and how not special your defense has to be in order to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Because a special defense isn't a 15th ranked defense. A special defense isn't a top 20 defense. Special defenses are top 10. We don't even need that in Kansas City with the way our offense is, and it's on its way there.
Even look at it more. In the 2 games, we only scored 9 points in the first half.
Exactly.
And yet we only lost those 2 games by 9 points.
Yeah.
Just think if we even had an average first half, or even slightly below average first half.
That's scary to think, isn't it?
Exactly.
If you just kick 2 field goals, the game is different. The defense can relax because you're no longer down 14, you're down 8.
Right.
Okay, that's a big deal to the defense and an offense in the locker room.
Right, and you don't want to, and I'm not blaming Mahomes at all for this, but how many overthrows for touchdowns did he have? 2 in the first game and 1 in the second game.
Yep.
That changes it too.
Actually, he had 3 in the first game and 2 in the AFC Championship game. Yeah. The 3 he missed the overthrow to he missed Tyreek Hill on the first drive wide open.
Right.
He missed Kareem Hunt on the first drive wide open, and he missed Travis Kelce on like the 3rd drive of the first game wide open. Passes that we didn't see him miss in the first 5 weeks.
Right.
And everybody started to think, oh goodness, is this the rookie wall coming to hit Patrick Mahomes?
Right.
And they went into halftime, recollected themselves, and they come out and they put up 40 points. And I was like, okay, our offense is special. But what's going to hurt us is the defense. And ultimately, that's what hurt us, was the defense in the AFC Championship game because we couldn't get 1 stop in the second half.
Nope.
And that's all we needed.
1 stop.
We needed 1 stop.
That sounded like 2003.
Yeah.
The no punt.
Exactly.
No punt game. So.
And at least there were punts in the game. But the football game didn't really start until halftime.
Right.
The football game didn't start till halftime.
No.
It was starting to get really cold out there in the first half with nothing going on from the Chiefs. Yeah. Outside the first 2 drives, defense, the stadium's rocking.
Yeah.
And then the second half started and people started taking clothes off because they were burning up from screaming and
oh my gosh,
all that other stuff. It was fun. It was pretty intense. I want to give a quick shout out here. Quentin, Landon Collins didn't come to Kansas City. Sorry, but that's how it goes sometimes, man. It's just like I told Quentin, the money has to line up right, especially when you're on the fringe with your cap.
Well, and see, I wanted Landon Collins, but I didn't want them to pay $84 million for 6 years to have him.
Yeah, that's
roughly two
years.
2 Eric Berry contracts.
It is.
Eric Berry and his.
And if you really think about it, Landon Collins is a younger version of Eric Berry. Okay, he's a tackle first safety with a little bit of ball skills, but he's not great in coverage, which what Eric Berry eventually turned into was a good cover safety.
Right.
But man, we already messed up on big time long deals like that, and you have to be a stud for the Chiefs to come out and just be like, hey, I'm going to give you 6 years, $84 million, and let's see how this works out.
Exactly.
Especially because you need help elsewhere. You need to bring in a C.J. Mosley or a Shane Ray or something like that to help that front 7 as well. Because right now you're missing a pass rusher.
Yep.
Is Dorian O'Daniel the guy? Is Tano Passanio the guy? Is Breland Speaks the guy? We don't know.
Right.
Only time will tell that. But that's what you have to look forward to on the opposite side of D Ford right now.
Right. And right now, Brendan Speaks didn't play very well, but he was a rookie.
Yeah.
D Ford didn't play well his rookie year. It took him several years and to stay healthy in order to perform well. Anyway, excuse me. This is Brian Kress, the Awesome Boys for B-Dawgs Sports Show with my man Stefan Gritty Gradine.
Yes, sir.
We are at my friend Ryan West's place. Ryan, say hello.
Hello, what's going on? Oh my gosh, I'm over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what's up, everybody?
Yeah,
welcome to my cave.
Yep,
yeah.
The network's not working well, so it keeps shutting off and on.
Get on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the password's over there somewhere, Brian. It's Shaka laka boom or something like that. Boom shaka laka boom.
Okay.
You'll know what.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Neandertalk podcast.
Yep.
Is the
Quentin, we're
Wi-Fi
switching.
game.
We're switching
Oh,
to
okay.
a 4-3.
Oh, okay.
A 4-3
Cool.
defense.
But anyway, Ryan is producing our show tonight. Greatly appreciate your studio and your services.
Most definitely.
So
You guys are gonna love it. Wait till you see it.
I'm
You're gonna love it.
I'm enjoying it already. So what's going on is he's producing our show, and we're gonna put it out on YouTube, and we're gonna check this out and see how it looks, because as you guys can see, we're in a pretty legit place. He's got lights, mics, headphones, working from an Apple computer. Got to, obviously. He's even said he has a green screen, all that stuff. So I'm pretty pumped up to see how this video comes out. So, but on the Chiefs note, okay, we're looking at Justin Houston obviously being gone. Okay, 78.5 career sacks. What was it? 377 career tackles, 700. I don't remember what the number exactly was.
yeah, I don't know the exact numbers either.
But from what I've seen and what I've seen from other pass rushers in the Hall of Fame, he's a borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's no doubt a Chiefs Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
But he's a borderline Hall of Famer as well, and that's just from his time here in Kansas City. That's just his 8 years here. So, do you think that ultimately he ends up in the Hall of Fame? Is, I guess, the next question. Does he end up there?
Well, it depends on who he signs with
Yeah.
and how much production he has. If this production that he has now is it, I would say no. Because you got to realize you got to be the best of the best. And
Oh, yeah.
So saying that, I would say no. I would love to re-sign him. I would love,
What's up, Austin?
but that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
you just have to move
otherwise
on.
he would have never
So
got cut.
who is he gonna move on to, and how is he going to perform with that team, and how many more years? Because
Exactly.
what is he? 31?
No, he's 29.
20?
He'll be 30 by the time the season starts this year.
Okay, so
he's not old.
He's still in his prime.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's a good thing.
Well, actually in his prime, he's not in his prime anymore as it pertains to edge rusher. But it's also a position that the NFL is still learning,
Right.
because the edge rusher has just recently been enlisted as a position. I agree, Quentin. He doesn't fit in the 4-3, which is why Ford got franchised and he got released.
Right.
Because Ford doesn't have a problem putting his hand in the dirt, whereas Justin Houston, maybe he would have struggled with that, especially being old, both knees being bad.
Right.
Had the hamstring problem this year. Just your body wears down from the physical beating that you take as an edge rusher.
Right.
And I don't foresee edge rushers getting Khalil Mack money anymore, just because of the physical. Look at Von Miller.
Mm-hmm.
The year they went to the Super Bowl, stud, had a hellacious season, and
Now-
then
now
every year it's kind of just falling off just a little
Now
bit.
he's famous for having a beehive in one hand
Yeah.
and going through the turnstile and tie his shoes and then makes the sack.
Exactly. You know, so from his Super Bowl year, from one of the best defenses that ever played the game, every year his production, it's still the same, stays consistent, but you can see the difference in his game.
Right.
You know, 3 years ago he chases down Patrick Mahomes in that Monday night game with the left-handed throw.
Right.
You see the difference now in 2 years, 3 years, he loses a step.
Yeah.
And that's just because think of the men that he is running into every play.
Right.
He's running into 6'7", 350-pound offensive tackles every play.
Oh, absolutely.
And it takes a toll on you. You've seen it across the league. Terrell Suggs, stud.
Yes.
And he fell off.
Yep.
You know, and that wasn't even from injuries. That was just you get old. You know,
Right.
it takes longer for you to recover from the beating.
Unfortunately, you get old fast.
Yeah.
Now, like Tom Brady, he's taken immaculate care of his body. He's had one major injury, and that was it.
Came from the Chiefs.
It came from the Chiefs, and there's a rule because of it.
Yeah.
But other than that, he stays healthy. He doesn't get hurt. He knows he's kind of like Marcus Allen of the quarterbacks. He knows how to take a beating without taking a beating.
Yep. And I got a question for you, and for our fans watching as well.
Okay.
Who was the Chief that hurt Tom Brady and put him out of that season. They still made the playoffs with Matt Castle at 10-6. But
Which
who
is-
was the chief that came in and hurt Tom Brady and created the end the grass rule?
Was it like the pedo?
It was a safety.
Oh my gosh! And I can't.
He played with another team.
Yeah.
We signed him in free agency. He's a little
Right.
bit older.
Right.
But I'll never forget him coming and getting tripped and him crawling to Tom Brady as
Right.
Tom Brady's throwing the ball.
Yep. And
Anybody watching? Let's see if you guys know the answer.
We'll say it later. I don't know. Again, I've heard it several times, and obviously my brain is not working.
But the P is right. There's your guys' hint. The P that Brian was saying is right, but it's his last name. The P is right, but it's on his last name.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like I love sports trivia. I love sports trivia.
I do too.
And stuff like that changed the course of football. And people don't, a lot of people don't realize that, because without that play happening, in the grass may not happen. And you see a lot more injuries.
They had in the grass already because of Oakland.
Yeah.
It was the first Super Bowl.
And that was the tuck rule.
That's what it was. But still, right. But he was in the grass and everything, and fumbled it. And
Snow.
Blah blah blah.
There wasn't any grass in that game. That was all snow.
And had Oakland won that game, well, they ended up playing in the 2000s anyway. But Oakland has played in more decades than any other team. They've played in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. They missed the 90s because Bo Jackson got hurt and lost to Buffalo, and then 2000s.
Wow.
And so they only didn't show up in the 90s and 2010s.
Wow.
And so in order to make it this year, they'll have to win have to go to the Super Bowl this year.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah.
All the decades of going, at least making it to the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's insane.
So.
But that pretty much wraps up what's going on with the Chiefs, except you have another big contract that's coming up.
Yeah.
What does Tyreek Hill sign for?
I think he'll get a contract better than Odell Beckham Jr. Mm-hmm. And if he does, he deserves it.
Oh, 100%.
He is, everybody goes, well, he did this, did this to his girl, blah, blah, this. And I'm going to talk to you people, because there are probably kids that are mad at him and stuff. And not to sound negative or anything, but I could say that some of their parents have probably done the exact same thing.
Yep.
The only difference is they did not have video. They did not have cameras. They didn't have media outlets where, you walk around and you're seen by 3-4 different things.
Exactly.
He made a mistake. Okay. I'm not condoling what he made, but he made a mistake. He was an 18-year-old kid or 19-year-old kid that makes a mistake. I'm telling you what, I made a ton of mistakes. But the thing of it is, he fixed it. Him and his girl are better than ever.
Married.
They are married. The child is good. I mean, everything. It's, it was a bad situation. It was a bad time. And the thing of it is that he paid for it. He's worked hard for it. And now he's a productive member of the society.
Big time.
Exactly. He is a community guy. He will go out and give autographs and
raised $3.2 million from a basketball tournament for inner city schools. So
there you go. What more can you ask? But everybody looks at the negative things. Mother Teresa was perfect. She may have made one mistake, but I guarantee you, if those people found that one mistake, they're going to harp on that one mistake than the millions of things that she did positive. And there are people who will line up around the block just so they can say something negative about you. And
they will.
And so those people, you just need to shut up.
But I'm going to say something positive about Tyreek Hill. He brings an electricity to Arrowhead that you haven't had since Dante Hall.
Exactly.
What you haven't had since Dante Hall. How long was it since Dante Hall was gone?
10 years.
10 years. He brings in electricity. When he touches the ball, that stadium, just you see it. They get on the edge of their seats. It doesn't matter if he touches the ball on punt return, kick return, which he doesn't do anymore, a screen, a reverse, a jet sweep. If the ball's thrown in his direction, you just don't know. And that is
when the ball is in his hands, defenses are worried.
Panic.
Yeah, they panic.
Instant panic.
Because all he could do, he could be right near a player, and then next thing you know, he's 10 yards ahead. So we've got a question here. Is he better, Tyreek Hill, better than Kareem Hunt? Now,
what context? Are we talking as a person? Are we talking as a player? Are we?
Well, answer this. This is my brother. My brother in Wichita. Craig, hello. How you doing?
How you doing, Craig?
And his wife, Heather, and their 4 kids, or 5 kids, I should say, and a grandchild. Do you talk about Kareem Hunt better as in the off-field stuff or the on-field stuff? And does Kareem deserve a second chance? Of course Kareem deserves a second chance, providing that he does the things right, like Tyreek Hill has. Then if Tyreek Hill did everything right, he's done everything right, he's done everything positive. So in that sense, yes, he deserved a second chance. If Kareem Hunt does the exact same thing and he is a better citizen, he does things in the community to help them out, then yeah, absolutely he deserves a second chance. But if he's going to do stuff like that again, then no, he doesn't deserve the second chance. Yeah.
Now, if we're talking off the field, neither one of them are better than the other. What's up, Devin? Neither one of them are better than the other. And the thing is, there's alike stories here.
Right.
A good person made a bad decision.
Right.
A bad person makes bad decisions multiple times.
Right.
Pac-Man Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
You see stuff that just keeps coming and keep coming and keep coming. You see these 2 guys. Tyreek Hill lost Division I scholarship to Oklahoma State, nonetheless.
Right.
Big 12 football at the time, they were really good.
Yep.
Actually had a few draft picks. But you see him go to West Alabama, and he changed his life. Right. He got away from the situation, changed his life, went into anger management, and he still goes to those classes today. He goes and talks to the youth in Kansas City, the youth back home, and he talks to them. Hey, guys, if you're ever in a situation where you feel like you're feeling yourself boiling over the top, where you're going to do something you're going to regret,
right?
Walk away. Yeah. Walk away. And Tyreek Hill is not ashamed of talking about his past.
Right.
Kareem Hunt has taken the same steps.
Right.
To what Tyreek Hill has done. He's gotten into anger management classes.
Yeah.
Some guys get into that stuff and then they skip it. Well, that's not making you any better. Right. And that's why Kareem Hunt's going to get a second chance. Off the field, it's the same thing. They both did a stupid thing.
Right. On
the field, though, Tyreek Hill is definitely more productive in not just his numbers, but what he brings to an offense.
Right.
So you can't teach speed.
No.
Speed kills. Mm-hmm. You saw it in 2014 and 2015 with the Royals.
Yep.
And you're seeing it with the Chiefs now. Kareem is definitely, a top 5. Quentin here says he's a top 3 running back. You can make an argument for that.
Right.
Gordon and Gurley are about the only ones that you can put above him. Maybe Saquon. But Saquon has to put his time in, obviously.
Right. Well, here's the best thing. We will get to see him in a different offense.
Yep.
Different team, organization. So we will see if he is that type of player that he was when he was with the Chiefs.
Exactly.
So that's the best.
And what better place to go than to be with the guy who drafted you?
Exactly.
Who took a chance on you? Because you had problems at Toledo too.
Exactly.
You
did.
Not these problems.
Right.
But you had other problems, academic problems. You had locker room problems.
Right. You had these small problems that turned into a big problem when you were with the Chiefs.
Exactly. So. When you get a little bit of money, your problems are now expanded.
Yeah.
And you saw that with Kareem Hunt. If that happens at Toledo, nothing happens.
Right.
But you're Kareem Hunt. You're as a rookie, led the league in rushing
Yes.
on one of the best offenses of all time. And that was last year, not this year. That was last year.
Yeah.
A 4,000-yard quarterback, a 1,000-yard rusher, and 2,000-yard receivers. Never been done before. And you were part of that.
Yes.
And do you think that they're not going to be watching your every move?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think that people love, like TMZ, the media, they love to see these big-name athletes get out of their comfort zone and do something stupid? That's what they thrive on.
Right.
And if people would just understand that more, control what you do. Pick your grouping of friends better. Who you go around. Because if it was me, Kareem Hunt would have never came out of that room.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would never put one of my brothers in that situation because stuff like that happens. You know, I'm out to protect my friends and ultimately my family above everything else. The girl outside yelling, the racial slurs, all that stuff, she would have been taken care of by me or one of my other friends because I'm not letting you throw away your career over this, over something stupid like this.
Here's the best example. Ryan is the stud. He is the star. Everybody knows Ryan. Nobody knows us except for Ryan knows us.
Which he's a great producer, by the way.
He is a great producer anyway. But here's the thing. There's a situation outside his door.
Yep.
Are you going to tell him to go out there when you have me and you that are supposed to protect him?
Not at all.
Exactly.
Not at all.
Go out there and say, what's the issue? Because usually you never see the star, the actress, whoever, go out there and handle the situation. Usually you got your boss, your bouncers, your men that protect you. They're the ones that take care of that.
Yep.
And they may fight and get upset and everything about, well, I want to see him and I want to talk to him.
Don't care.
It doesn't matter.
You're talking to me.
Right. You're talking to us and you're talking. He's going to listen to us.
You're hired. You're both hired.
Yeah, there you go. But you don't go, oh, well, okay, hey, Ryan, we need you to go outside. No, you don't do that.
No.
And that's what happened. He walked out there. And so I also got, hey, JB, how you doing, buddy? You got...
JB, Jimmy?
No, John Bollinger.
Oh, okay.
Then you've got... I just lost my...
Man, that old age is catching up with you, ain't it?
It is.
But no, hold on. Oh, you got it back. Here we go.
I got it back. So... You have the film of Kareem. You know, he kind of pushes the girl. He kind of kicks the girl. Doesn't do anything really hard.
Yeah.
So I was told, what's the difference? And Bob Fesco, good seeing you, buddy. And the thing of it is, Ray Rice drilled drilled her. He Mike Tyson'd her.
Yeah.
Whereas Kareem Hunt just kind of pushed her aside. I mean... What he did is wrong.
Yep.
And
I guarantee you, everybody watching has pushed their sister harder than what happened in that video.
Exactly. Or kicked.
And you also got to remember, obviously we've talked about this before, I'm not saying anything that he did was right.
Right.
Don't get me wrong there. But the girl was beyond hammered. And Kareem Hunt did the right thing in making her leave.
Right.
That's when all the stuff happened. But the videos don't show the good things that happen.
Right. It doesn't show everything.
Exactly. It just shows the negative stuff that happened. She's 19 years old, lied about her age. Kareem Hunt found out. Kareem Hunt did the right thing as a NFL superstar. You have to go.
Right, but he still shouldn't have gone out that door.
He still should not have been let out the door.
His guys should have said,
What's up, Roscoe?
You need to get out of there.
Yep.
Instead, he took care of it, and because of that, it allowed him to make a mistake.
Yes,
and that's the thing. You have to, when you have a star and you're protecting the star, you try to keep them from making any mistakes.
Yep.
And going out there and handling a situation
What's up, Darren?
Is a mistake.
Yeah.
Because no matter how good you try to handle it or how bad you try to handle it, it's never going to be. It's like me picking on a 10-year-old kid.
Yep.
If I beat up the 10-year-old kid, big deal.
Yep.
But if the 10-year-old kid beats me up,
Oh, that's a
that
huge
makes
deal.
it even worse. So
Exactly.
so there's nothing good about what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So having you go out and take care of it is not a good thing.
Do you think something like this has happened to Tom Brady?
Oh, absolutely.
Not the negative stuff, obviously, but do you think people have come up to his room, yelling at him, talking a whole bunch of crap, all this other stuff? Do you think Tom Brady has had to deal with any confrontation? Do you think he's had to walk out his door and deal with it himself?
Well, yeah.
No.
Well,
His
no.
offensive line or whoever is in his posse or entourage is going to take care of it.
He does, but he does it from a distance.
Yep.
He doesn't have, like, if I'm not a big Tom Brady fan. So if I come up to him and say, hey, blah, 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 I don't like you, you're a horrible person, or even get even more derogatory, I'm going to get taken away immediately. Well, here's the thing. Alex Rodriguez, I was talking to a friend. He was down in Florida. And so he was in this bar. He had two big guys right next to him. So people would try to take pictures, and they would stop them. You can't take pictures.
Yep.
You can't do this.
Because what they're going to do is they're going to turn it and be like, well, A-Rod's out drinking.
Right. Exactly.
A-Rod's an alcoholic, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. And that's their job. The bar men, though, that's their job. Just like the sideline coach. That he has one job. Keep the head coach out of the way of the referee.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. That's what you need as a superstar.
Right.
You need guys to have your back no matter the level.
Yeah.
And you saw that, like you talked about with A-Rod. All he's out is probably having a casual drink.
Yeah.
But if the wrong person sees this, they're going to blow it up. Oh, he's an alcoholic.
Right.
He needs to do this. He needs to do that. Now you're taking his focus away from the game and what he makes his money doing.
Right.
So to answer your question, obviously, that we got off on a little tandem there, but Tyreek Hill is more productive on the field because, like we talked about, the panic.
Right.
If he gets the ball, the entire stadium is in panic of some sort.
Right.
Whether it's the home field, we're ready to panic, panicking because, oh my God, don't let him get hit. Oh my God, don't let him get hit because he's that important to us. And then the opposite side of it with the opposing team, oh my God, he's got the ball. What do we do? Oh my God, how are we gonna stop him? We only have 11 guys. Can we throw an extra 2 guys out there or something?
Right, exactly.
Much like he did in the Dallas game.
Yeah.
The whatever it was,
the
Hail Mary.
Yeah,
the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Throw it 15 yards. Tyreek Hill does the rest untouched.
Right.
That's what Tyreek Hill brings. Kareem Hunt had the explosiveness, but he didn't have it on that level. You were seeing it this past year with like him disappearing in the Cincinnati game and reappearing and hurdling the guy in the Denver game. You were seeing it.
Right.
But ultimately it was cut short by a TMZ video and
Right.
all that stuff. But I do wish him the best, man. I really do.
I do too. I do. I really hope the best success, and I hope that he gets his act cleaned up and everything else. But here's another thing
What's up, Juan?
that I'm going to put it. And I heard this from some other people talking about it. But I think, in a sense, that Kareem's incident helped the Chiefs out.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If Kareem Hunt didn't have this situation, he would have performed very well. We may have gone to the Super Bowl. I don't know. I can't say that. But, our chances would have been better. But coming up contract, we would have to sign him to a big, huge contract.
You just said that you heard somebody say that today or yesterday or whatever.
Uh-huh.
You remember I said that back in week 10 of the NFL season.
Yeah.
Maybe this was the Chiefs' way of getting out of the contract headaches and whatnot. And I remember my uncle, Nature Chief, as some of you guys know him, Sterling Brown.
Right.
He said, "Hey, that's a good take there, Nefru."
Right.
Just being funny, Nefru.
Right. Exactly.
And it's coming to head now because Tyreek Hill is gonna get a big contract.
Right.
Some people have said it's a record deal.
Right.
From what they've heard.
And he deserves it.
No doubt.
I have no doubt. And as long as Mahomes is in,
and he takes care of his body too.
And takes care of his body, man, that is going to be an awesome tandem.
How far do you think they go up in the tandem voting, the dynamic duos?
It depends on how long they last.
How long they're together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just say my prediction on his contract is 5 years, 115. That's my prediction.
Okay.
5 years, 115 makes him the highest paid receiver.
Probably bonus.
With the highest bonus, obviously.
Guaranteed.
I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed. I projected it'd probably be about 75 would be my guess. That's very steep.
What is Odell Beckham's?
74.
Oh, is 74?
Oh, was it 74?
Because Beckham's was barely over 100, if even that.
Was it 74?
I thought it was 85.
What are you looking for?
Odell Beckham's
Beckham
guaranteed contract.
But anyway,
I do think he'll be in that 75, that 115 overall, and that $75 million deal. Okay, it was $95 million, and he got 65. So I could see Tyreek being around 74, 75 guaranteed.
I'd say 70.
Yeah, because the what he brings to the field is just like what OBJ brings to the field. You never know what's going to happen when he touches the ball.
Right.
The only thing that OBJ has over Tyreek Hill is he can go get it in the red zone.
Right, exactly.
That's it.
But going back to it, we had 2 running backs. One we drafted.
Yep.
One we got for $2 million. And now we signed him for 8 years, 2 years and $8 million.
Yep.
And then we signed a running back for $1 million. Or no, I'm sorry, less than $2 million.
Yeah.
So we're going to pay what, $5 to $8 million for a couple of running backs.
For 3 running backs.
Unless we pick up another one, then that is a great deal. And in a sense, that saved the Chiefs from having to pay.
Oh, Kareem was going to get $16 million a year easily.
So Kareem Hunt, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce,
Sammy
Watkins, yeah. And Tyreek Hill,
Yeah.
all of those. Travis, so you have 3 wide receivers, a running back, and a quarterback, and you can't pay all those people that much money.
No.
And still be able to be able to field a team.
Yeah, not at all.
I mean,
plus what you have to pay on the defensive side.
Right, exactly.
But I'm pretty pumped up, man. I really am. I was very on edge today with all the big names leaving free agency, like Landon Collins, obviously Eric Weddle a couple days ago, Trey Flowers, guys like that leaving free agency. Nick Foles got $88 million and 55 guaranteed. Big contract for him, being a career backup.
Yep.
And now he's gone to the Super Bowl twice or whatever, once, won it once, MVP.
And won it.
Against the great Tom Brady. And, it's time for him to finally get his franchise. Absolutely. And I'm happy for him. But I was on edge, losing some big name guys that, you've heard rumors from the Chiefs.
Right.
We're interested in this guy. We're interested in this guy. And you just see him keep falling off. I'm happy we finally got a guy that we were looking forward to, and Tyrann Mathieu.
And we still have a shot at LaMarcus Joyner.
Oh, yeah.
If we can get him as a cornerback, then we haven't solidified the defense, but we have greatly improved it.
Oh, he's a Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl defensive guy.
Exactly. Craig, I love you, brother. You have a great evening. Give your kids a kiss for me and tell your wife that I said hello. And Billy Bollinger, he had a question. He said, what do you think about the Honey Badger coming to KC?
Love it. No, I got 2 words for you. Love it.
I like it too. We've got a player who is a ball hawk. Now, we talked about this earlier in our session, and we feel that he's a ball hawk and that he will work well with Eric Berry if Eric Berry comes. You can play him close. You can play him back.
He's a great tackler.
He's a great tackler.
Great cover safety.
One that we needed because a lot of missed tackles were with the Chiefs. And I'm telling you what, I watched a lot of games with a lot of people, and they were so angry about, missing a tackle here and missing a tackle there, You
were talking about Anthony Hitchens earlier. Anthony Hitchens ended the season with 134 tackles.
Uh-huh.
Think about how many tackles he would have had if he wouldn't have missed all of them.
Oh, he probably had about 200 plus.
So that just shows you right there. Maybe it's stuff they do in practice.
Yeah.
You saw the defensive coaches get a complete overhaul with the change of the defensive coordinator. That's why a lot of people are excited to see what's going on this year with the defense. Bring in one more big free agent.
Right.
I don't care if it's C.J. Mosley. I don't care if it's LaMarcus Joyner. I don't care if it's HaHa Clinton Dix. Bring in a big name free agent, just one more,
Right.
and then draft.
Oh, yeah.
Use your draft picks. You have tons of them coming up in the next 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
Use your draft picks, move up, and get the guy you want. Mm-hmm. You know, like we talked about with the Jets, they're listening to offers for their third overall pick.
Right.
You know, maybe we need to make a move.
Yeah.
We have 2 first-round picks next year, 2 first-round picks, and 3 second-round picks the year after. Use them.
Yeah.
Use them. Because hopefully by then we're on a trend of Super Bowls.
Right.
I mean, would it be nice to add first-round and second-round talent to Super Bowl teams? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But how much more fun would it be if you did it now instead of waiting until later?
Well, I will say this. This draft here is very defensive friendly. Oh, my gosh. You got the defensive lines and the safeties. Those are the 2 best ones.
Imagine trading up and getting Montez Sweat.
Ooh, from Mississippi.
Dorian O'Daniel.
It's Mississippi State.
Yep, his teammates are Chris Jones.
Yep.
Dorian O'Daniel on one side, Montez Sweat, Chris Jones, and D Ford would be your front 4.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
And then you're still rolling in Derek Noddy and Xavier Williams and Alan Bailey,
Right.
which I think they need to cut Alan Bailey too. That opens up another $8 million in cap space.
I know, because he's just been a salary cap liability.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
never performed. He seemed to be good, but he never
He has great games. Mm-hmm. He has great games, but it's not never consistent.
Right, never performed to his contract, and it wasn't a Houston's contract, but still, I don't care if it's $5 million or $15 million.
Perform.
Or 20, perform your contract.
That's it.
You signed it, not us.
Yep.
So play with it and perform with it.
Speaking of perform your contract, what do you think of LeBron James?
Oh my God!
Is he performing that big deal that he got from the Lakers? I don't think so.
Oh my gosh! I'm telling you what, Jeff Van Gundy on the telecast said that the Lakers should trade him.
Hey, I agree with it.
I think so.
Magic Johnson is losing a lot of money.
And people go, "You're stupid," and I'm like, "Why?" I mean, true, this is 1 year, and he didn't perform well at all. So maybe next year he can get it back.
Yep.
But the problem is he's not getting any younger. It's not like next year he's gonna be a 34-year-old instead of being a 35 or 36-year-old.
That might be the theme of our show. Father Time is undefeated.
Yep.
I wonder if there's any way that we could make T-shirts that say that. Because it keeps coming up in all of our conversations. Yep. And you're 100% right. LeBron James, he's not getting any younger. Guess what? He's going to wake up tomorrow older than he was today. So I don't know what they're going to do, but they might be in trouble.
I think
But it's only the first year.
It is the first year.
Only the first year.
But they're going to have to overhaul. Magic Johnson is going to have to do some magic off the field than he did when he was on the field.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of interesting to me. There's big name guys who have hinted that they would like to go play with LeBron. But you look at the guys that he's played with, outside of Dwayne Wade, who has exceeded their expectations playing with LeBron?
Nobody, really.
Nobody.
Kevin Love played under his performance.
Maybe Tristan Thompson for a couple years? Maybe.
Well, that was because Tristan Thompson was a nothing, and he performed a little something, and he's got a ring, but that's because of LeBron James. Tristan Thompson?
No, he only won 1 in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tristan Thompson's got a ring because of it.
Right.
And a Kardashian.
But he's treating her like crap, too.
No,
so. Or at least that's what the...
TMZ.
That's what the scandal
yeah, there it is.
Saying.
TMZ.
So.
But around the rest of the association, the Suns pulled out a big win. And remember, back when we were with A1 and Mr. Marvin, I said the Suns were probably going to pull off some big wins this year. And one of them was last night. They've won 2 huge games for them in the last week and a half. They beat the Lakers.
Right.
Okay, well, the Lakers
Big
are
deal.
bad, but it's still LeBron.
Right, but they made them look even worse than what they were.
And then
LeBron
they
James
beat.
throwing a pass into the back of the rim.
And then they beat, and I do mean beat, the Warriors last night.
Yes.
That was not the Warriors giving them the win, because you look across the board, they all played very well.
Right.
But they did beat the Warriors last night.
Okay, saying that, are you worried about the Warriors? going into the playoffs.
Of course not. Of course not. There's no way that you can ever be worried about a team that obviously has the best record of all time for a single season in the NBA. They have 3 of the last 4 championships that reside in San Francisco. You can't bet against them. I'm sorry. I'm not worried about them at all.
Well, I totally agree.
I'm not worried about them.
I think when it comes to the playoffs, I think they will turn it up. Now, saying that, if they don't turn it up, Houston or I would only say
okay.
Houston.
Now I'm gonna say OKC because if those 2 guys play good like that, plus Steven Adams is balling this year.
Yes,
a
he
lot
is.
of people don't give him credit. He is balling this year. He's averaging a double-double, and they have never had inside play like that.
No.
With what they do by themselves.
Right.
I mean, you have 2 guys. You have 2 guys who are averaging triple-doubles over the last month.
Right.
Playing on the same team, and then you got a big man averaging a double-double. That is insane. I want to look that up and see if that has ever been done before in the NBA where you have 2 guys average a triple-double and a big man average a double-double in the same month. That is crazy.
We'll have to look that up.
And OKC also only has 2 losses this past month.
Hey, our stud producer is checking it up right now.
I want to see if he can find it too.
Well, here's the other thing.
So
Paul George.
What do you want me to look up?
Oh, go ahead.
I want to see if there's ever been in NBA history 3 teammates, 2 of which average a triple-double and 1 average a double-double in the same month. But I mean, the only way that's possible would be looking back at the Bulls, maybe.
No, I doubt that. But here's the other thing. Paul George is finally starting to hit game winners.
Oh, God.
When he was with Indiana, he couldn't hit a game winner to save his life. And the only game winner he ever had was in the commercial for Gatorade. And to be honest, when he was with OKC, I was like, oh, well, who cares, Westbrook will get his triple-double because that's how he is, and he's not going to perform very well. And then you had Carmelo Anthony, and he was a cancer anyway.
Yeah.
But this year, I'm telling you what, Paul George has finally stepped up.
That team is scary.
And maybe that's because of his leg injury that took a year or 2 to get over it. And now he's finally playing at 100%.
And that's something that people can take also like to Alex Smith.
Uh-huh.
Same injury. Mm-hmm. How long does it take for him to come back and be fully healthy with it? That's why a lot of people speculate that he'll retire. But Paul George you can tell he's over it.
Right.
You can tell by how he jumps, by how he attacks on defense, by how he attacks the rim on offense.
Right.
He's not scared.
But if he was 10 years older, he would.
True.
Because here's the thing. And yes, I'm going to talk about my age, but as I've gotten older, the things that I would have done when I was in my 20s and my 30s and maybe even slightly in the 40s, I get hesitant in doing because I'm worried about if I fall down, I'll hurt myself or something like that, because you have that mindset a little bit.
Yeah.
And so if Paul George was 10 years older when he did that, would he be the same guy or come back? But because he was very young, he was in his early 20s, now he's able to fix that and do all right. Whereas Alex Smith is at 36.
Yeah.
He is playing a rough position where he can get drilled. And who knows how long it's going to take him to recover.
Yeah.
So he may be done.
Yeah.
But now if he comes back, I think that would be great. But he will never be the same player.
No. And where you'll see the effect the most is going to be in his mobility. Mm-hmm. Because he's not going to want to slide. He's not going to want to get hit. If he does slide, you'll see him slide well in advance.
Well, and here's the other thing. With his leg, if he screws up the slide, he could hurt his leg again.
Exactly. Like you saw with Aaron Rodgers when he slid this year with that brace on.
Right.
Re-aggravated his knee. Mm-hmm. But across the league, the most intriguing teams to me are obviously OKC because of what they've been doing.
Right.
But this Boston Celtics team has really turned it on as of late. And if they can get in, which they will, they're in the East. But if they can get the right draw,
right,
that might be a scary team to compete for the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, but they're going to have to do it a little bit more. They were really they had lost 7 of 10 and then they've won 3 in a row.
Ooh.
So big deal, 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I want to see them win 5 in a row,
Exactly.
or 7 in a row,
What's up,
or
Greg?
even 10 in a row before I even go, okay, now they're back.
Mm-hmm.
Because they should have been a better team. You know, last year they didn't have Hayward. Last year they didn't have Kyrie
And that's another guy
Irving.
with that leg injury, too.
Right. And yet they almost made it to the NBA Finals. And then this year they added Hayward. They added a couple of new players, and they can't even get it done.
Yep.
The performance is worse than it was last year.
And I'm gonna say that that's more on the rookies from last year, like Jason Tatum. He
Right.
just hasn't been on this
No.
year. Last year, great guy, balling. You saw him dunking on people, hitting the three, hitting the game
Right.
winners. But last year they didn't have Gordon Hayward because of the leg injury in week 1.
Right.
Remember,
Actually, game 1.
game 1. Remember, Paul George is just now getting fresh
Right.
from that. So Gordon Hayward still has a little bit of rehab still left on his plate.
Right. Right.
It's a shame that he got hurt because I wanted to see how good this team could be. But it's not going to happen. Kyrie's going to go have a new home after this season. Jason Tatum might have a new home after this season.
No. Jason was a rookie.
Trade wise, I'm talking about because
they
because
would
they're
have to
talking
trade
about
him.
they're talking about overhaul up there too.
Well, and that's
Which is crazy
that's
to me.
it. Well, that was because they were falling apart. If they end up winning the title, they may not do that.
Exactly.
Except for Kyrie, because Kyrie has been a cancer of lately, and he even apologized on some comments he made, which tells you that he's been talking bad about the team and everything else. So,
Which we've all been in that position
I understand.
as athletes.
But he's continuously doing it. If he was a good player, let's just say Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And Larry Fitzgerald's been a consummate professional, and then he says one thing wrong, I give him a pass.
Yeah.
An absolute pass. But Kyrie Irving, I can't because he's been doing it all year long. So why would I want to give him a pass on that when he's been doing it all year long?
Exactly. And I wasn't gonna say I was gonna give him a pass, but the athletes have all been in that position.
Right.
When it's going bad, it's going bad.
Exactly.
When it rains, it pours. When it's going good, everything is fine. Little things that normally are big deals aren't big deals if you're winning. Look at Golden State. You've seen Steve Kerr on TV talking, man, I'm just tired of Draymond and all the stuff that he brings. I'm just tired of it.
Right.
But it's overshadowed when they're, been to 5 straight finals and all this other stuff.
Right. But
It's overshadowed.
But Kyrie is supposed to have been the leader.
Yep, and he's not.
And a coach can say it because he's a coach. He doesn't go out there and play. But when your leader, the guy on the court, is supposed to take you to the promised land or take you to the next level, and he is not doing that, he can't turn around and start pointing fingers and throwing people on their buses for doing that.
There's only one person in the league that can do that.
And that's LeBron.
And that's LeBron. It doesn't matter how bad his teams are.
Uh-huh.
LeBron can do it. He's the king. He is this era's Michael Jordan.
Right.
Michael Jordan was the only guy from his era that could throw guys under the bus. I'd say Admiral too, because Admiral led by example.
But he did.
But he wasn't as good as MJ.
Right, and he didn't do that as often.
No, he was a much nicer guy.
And then when he had
Jordan.
Duncan, he didn't have to worry about that.
No, well, I mean, you saw Duncan's career. Duncan is a quiet Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah.
Period. Point blank.
Yep.
Nobody on here can tell me what his career stats were because his nickname is exactly what it was. The big fundamental.
Uh-huh.
And he's gonna fundamental his way right into the Hall of Fame
Right.
with a copper bust. That's it.
With a
bronze bust.
With a 4-year college career.
Yeah.
And a degree.
Yeah.
So
Smart man.
Right. Very smart. He risked those 4 years.
Yep.
Everybody's like, oh, I got to get into the NBA, blah, blah, blah. Tim Duncan
He
probably
didn't care.
could have done it after his sophomore year, but he chose not to. He chose 4 years.
Traditional professional athlete is what it is.
Exactly.
He went 4 years, went to the NBA, and believe it or not, he was the next player after Jordan and Pippen to be undefeated in the NBA Finals until he missed those 2 bunnies against LeBron James, and LeBron finally beat him.
Yep.
And otherwise, he'd have been 6-0 in the playoffs, right along with Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. But a lot of people don't realize that he was 5-0 in finals appearances.
Right. You don't realize how many titles they have.
And that's Greg
Because
Popovich all the way. That's Greg
yeah.
Popovich all the way. Greg Popovich
I
didn't let
love
any distractions in his locker room
Uh-huh.
at all.
Oh, yeah.
Period, point blank.
Well, look at Kawhi Leonard.
You're a distraction. You got to go.
Right. He didn't put up with that.
Nope.
So.
Bill Belichick, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Bill Belichick wants to fire Robert Kraft
Mm-hmm.
because it's some sort of distraction.
Mm-hmm.
But the greatest coaches are the ones who can limit what the distractions do to your locker room.
Exactly.
And those are the best two guys that I can think of, and Greg Popovich and Bill Belichick, hands down.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
what
we're
do we got
looking
here?
up here. I see some information.
Yeah, those are just triple doubles, though. I'm looking
It
for
is.
the months.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. I couldn't really find a whole lot. I saw
That's some stat that ESPN was going to throw up probably on their thing because they have some guy who just sits in there and crunches numbers
Yeah.
all day and all night.
Yeah, I got this. Yeah, I couldn't find anything on that. On what you were asking for. The only thing that was coming up were these triple doubles.
Yeah,
The only
Yeah.
five pair of teammates.
to ever do it in the same game.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Vince Carter and Jason Kidd.
And
Larry
Robert
Bird and
Parrish
Robert Parrish. Who's that? Magic Johnson and
Kareem.
Kareem.
with another teammate, Magic and yeah, it was like with another teammate.
Lenny
Okay.
Wilkins and Art Harris.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
Roy Scott and Donnie Butcher.
Now, have you ever heard of them?
No.
That was from 1964.
Yeah,
so,
no, I ain't never heard of
To
it.
be honest, I haven't heard of them either. I've heard of all of them, but those two. And
That's
five games in the last 55 years where teammates scored a triple-double each.
So that tells you right there how rare
Yeah.
what's going on in OKC
Right,
is.
and if they're averaging that in a month,
Yeah.
because see, let's see.
Triple doubles a feet, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said it's only happened 5 times. What was that, since 1964? In the
last
past 55 years?
55 years, so,
The last 55 years.
yeah, 64.
The last 55 years, there's only been 5 games.
Five games.
5 games with 2 teammates that have triple doubles in the same game.
Right,
Russell Westbrook and Paul George may not have had them in the same games,
right.
but they're averaging a triple double for the last month. And Steven Adams is also averaging a double double this month. So that shows you how rare what's going on in OKC right now. OKC's scary, man.
Yeah.
They really are. They really are. And I think it's been a search for the right teammate for Russell Westbrook for the last 6 years.
Right.
It really, I mean, there's no other way to look at it.
Now, I still going to be hesitant on them until the playoffs, until they start showing.
They got to
us
prove
some-
it to you.
They
Yeah,
have to prove it to me.
They gotta prove
hey,
it to
I
you.
live in Missouri. This is
Show me state. You're right.
So absolutely.
Well, not to throw a pun out there, but changing gears.
Oh.
Not to throw a pun out there,
Oh.
but changing gears a little bit. NASCAR's West Coast Swing just finished their second leg of their 3-race swing.
Uh-huh.
Like we talked about, the last 4 champions, this is the biggest time of the year for them. This is where they collect most of the points that lead them to their championship. So last week, Joey Logano won.
Right.
Ugh.
Second was Brad.
Yeah, team Penske. What made me hate that even more is that it was Joey Logano's sponsored race, and oh gosh, it was horrible. But it did me some good to see the 2 main drivers for Team Penske really struggle this week. But just as a race fan, it did me some good.
Well, it's like seeing the Chiefs win and the Patriots lose.
Exactly.
that's
It just
all
does
it
me
is.
some good. I'm still a sports fan at the end of the day.
Right, exactly.
But there was another Team Penske guy who really showed out. I think he led 93 laps of the race yesterday.
Wow.
I think it was, and that was Ryan Blaney.
And don't they get points for that?
No, not anymore. 6 years ago, sorry, not 6 years ago. 3 years ago, they changed the playoff format, the scoring format. You used to get a point for every lap that you led. And so the points were just astronomical, and there were so many equations that had to go on with wins and all that stuff.
Right.
3 years ago, they switched to stage racing.
Right.
So the only points you get are at the end of each stage and obviously the end of the race.
Now, how many stages are there in a race?
There's one race a year that has 4 stages. So a first stage, second, third, and then the checkered flag will end the race as the fourth stage.
Okay.
But it goes to 10 points. So 10 points to the first place guy plus a playoff point. So the playoffs aren't till October.
Right.
Or September, the end of September. So that playoff point is just sitting there waiting. It's just extra padding for when the playoffs start. You get those extra points thrown on top of your points from the regular season.
Right.
So first place gets 10 points and a playoff point, and then it goes down the list to the 10th racer.
Right.
The 10th place finisher in that stage, you get 1 point. No playoff points are given except to the first guy. And that happens for most races 2 times a race. And then you get your points by how you finish.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, you get 40? I think it's 40 or 45 for a win, 10 playoff points for a win, and then it trickles down. So they went to this system, and that was so that, like, when Brad Keselowski won his championship, not to throw shade on Brad Keselowski because he's a champion, but he finished 2 laps down when he won his championship because he won it on points. Now you can't win it on points when you get to the championship. It's the highest finisher of the championship 4 racers.
Right.
So if you're a lap down but everybody else has wrecked out the race, okay, you win.
Right.
You know, but that's not how it's been the last 2-3 years with the new playoff system. It has been the top 4 guys finish the race 1, 2, 3, 4. So whoever wins essentially is going to win the championship, and I think that's how it should be too, especially out of the championship racers. But Kyle Busch, the candy man, Skittles, Snickers, M&Ms, so on and so forth.
He did it with Snickers Skittles this time.
Yep, and actually that's his favorite paint scheme, even though M&M's is his main sponsor. So it was cool to see that car actually win or race. Kyle Busch in the last 2 weeks, 3 races last week, 2 races this week, has won 4 out of 5 races.
Oh wow!
He won the Truck Series last week, Xfinity Series last week, lost the Cup race. But then he came back this week, won the Xfinity race, and won the Cup race.
Wow!
So, those wins rack up real quick.
Oh yeah.
Which is why he's at 199 career wins throughout the 3 series. Whereas, they want to compare him to Richard Petty, 200 career wins. That was 200 career wins at the Cup level.
Right.
That's at the Cup level.
Right.
He has 51 wins at the Cup level. 93 wins at the Xfinity level. Just good numbers. He's a winner.
Right. But don't compare it to the King.
Yeah, don't compare him to the King. He has his own area. Right. He'll probably end up with about 250, 200, if not 270, 275 career wins overall when his career is said and done, which is astronomical to begin with. But yesterday, obviously, Kyle Busch won, and Joe Gibbs Racing finished 1st, 2nd, and 5th in the race, and 35th in the race.
Oh, wow.
Eric Jones had some problems and whatnot, but...
Well, my friend Carl Fraser said he also had 2 races with interstate batteries also.
Yes, he does. He has 2, it's either 2 or 3 races with interstate batteries. It's his green paint scheme.
Right.
It's actually a pretty slick car. He doesn't win in that car very much. But that's okay because he wins plenty of more races.
Right. Absolutely.
As the Candy Man. And they even said that on the last lap. And the Candy Man does it again.
Yep.
Because, 199 wins. That's a 20% win rate in NASCAR.
Absolutely.
And you know what you have to avoid in the sport to win races? Blown tires, brakes going bad, car blowing up.
Somebody driving stupid.
Somebody wrecking you that's mad at you.
Yep.
To get to 200 wins is going to be obviously a career accomplishment for him. But what he wants is the wins. He wants the championships, etc. The 200 mark is nothing to him. He wants championships.
Yep, absolutely.
Which he will never get to 7 or 10 or anything like that, but either way, he's definitely a champion. What they like to say about him is, if you're a fan you're either going to boo or you're going to cheer, but it's never going to be quiet when Kyle Busch comes. So
Exactly.
It's pretty exciting to watch the races. I hope you guys really get into it. Not saying you, but our viewers. I hope you guys
I try
really
to get into it a little bit more so I can be more understanding of it.
Yeah, understanding the different racetracks. Obviously, the new aero package is something that I'm learning this year.
Right.
But it makes racing more exciting. You can't get away from guys.
Right.
And this race was actually what they consider a speedway, but it was only a mile track out at Phoenix.
Right.
They actually had the 770 horsepower, but they had the new aero package, which ultimately was the same thing. If you get close to somebody, it's going to slow you down.
Right.
It's going to knock out the air that you get to your engine, etc. So you still can't get away from people, but you have the horsepower in the car to drive it how you want to drive it. So it was pretty cool. I was pretty excited. I was pretty pumped up with my driver, Martin Truex Jr. He was like 7.5, 8 seconds back with 26 laps left yesterday. Everybody had been saying that he had a long run car. So about 18 laps into a run is when his car came to life. Just in time for everybody else's cars to die. His car came to life, and he actually went from like 8 seconds back to losing by just over a second to ultimately the Candyman and his teammate.
Right.
But it was a great day for Joe Gibbs Racing. I put it on Facebook and whatnot, finishing first, second, and fifth.
Wow.
So 3 of the spots in the top 5. Yep. It was a good day for Coach Gibbs.
And Daytona.
Oh yeah, yeah, and winning Daytona. 2 of the first 4 races are Joe Gibbs guys.
Yep.
And Truex. Now he has 2 top 2 finishes. He had a top 10 finish last week. The only race he didn't finish in the top 10 was Daytona when he got collected in the big
wrecked.
one. Yeah, so it's a good year. It's been a good year. The Ford's obviously been fast.
Right.
The Chevys have shown speed early in races, but they fall off and late in the race. I don't know why that is. Because everybody was projecting them to have a big year because they learned a new car last year. This should be the year that they perfected it.
Right.
And it just hasn't been the case. Chase Elliott had some speed yesterday. Alex Bowman had some speed yesterday. And they just, at the end of the race, they were just nowhere to be found.
Right.
Ryan Blaney was fast all day yesterday. And then the last 18 laps, his car just came out from underneath him. I mean, he said he was plowing, driving tight. And Kyle Busch ultimately got to him and passed him. And then Truex did too. So
yeah.
It's fun, man. It really is. Seeing long runs, seeing wrecks, seeing all this other stuff that goes into it, pit stops. All that stuff makes it exciting. And if you guys have never been to a speedway, go to your local speedway. Go to your local dirt track. You can go into the pits, all that stuff, and get down there and interact with the drivers, learn a little bit. And you get to see, like you hear us talking about runs, always chasing them down. Well, you can see that from the naked eye. Not because the camera's turning, but you can see it from the naked eye. Guys chase people down and whatnot. So that's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my friend Carl, he says that he loves NASCAR too.
Yep.
So Carl and Gritty need to get together and talk that. And I want to give a shout out to him. He had major knee surgery. He had to have his knee replaced. They did a horrible job the first time.
Oh, God.
And with the possibility of losing his leg and everything. But the doctor who did it did a great job. So now he's just on rehabilitation.
He's a fighter.
He's a fighter. He's a great guy. He's a great friend of mine. And he asked a question about who did we pick, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. I picked Michael Jordan.
I picked LeBron James.
And he picked LeBron James. So I was MJ. He was LB. So.
But you know what? We did put a poll up.
We did.
I'm glad you brought that up. And I looked at it yesterday for the first time since I put it up. It's a generational thing.
Yeah.
Who did you see play?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
But I've seen
you guys,
both.
No. What I'm saying is, who did you grow up seeing
yeah.
play? You grew up seeing MJ. MJ was everywhere.
Right.
We grew up seeing LeBron James. LeBron James is everywhere. And I want you to go check out the poll.
Oh,
look at it.
I'll have to take a look at that.
It's got people my age. And sprinkled, you sprinkle some in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I'd say 90% of each list is people your age and people my age on the differences between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. It's actually kind of scary.
Well, speaking of that, our producer, Ryan here, who did you pick? Michael
I'd
Jordan?
pick Jordan. I'd pick Jordan.
See?
Jordan.
That's
See?
right. I wanted to be like Mike.
Yeah, see, that's it. That's it
I'm
right there.
5'10" white boy. I dunked in high school because I wanted to be.
You were
like
supposed to say
Mike.
Jason Williams, man. You're supposed to.
Oh,
That would have been
don't
awesome.
Don't be Jason Williams because he.
That would have been awesome.
Wait, that one.
Yeah.
The other one was killing people.
Yeah.
Him and Clyde Drexler were my.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
Clyde the Glide
Clyde
Drexler.
the Glide.
Yeah.
I remember them from the Phi Slamma Jamma.
See, the funny thing is, you guys got to see them.
Oh yeah.
You know how we see them in our video games, like on 2K.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
have the generational teams from like the Rockets and the Knicks, the all-time teams, and you
Oh, yeah.
play them, and you're just like, dude, these guys are insane.
Well, yeah. I remember.
They don't call fouls against Detroit and the Bad
No.
Boys. They don't do any of that. And it's just like, oh my goodness, these teams are so hard, you know. And some people out there will say otherwise because they play on the weakest level, but I don't believe in that. So.
Well, and you see Virginia now as being one of the top teams. They've only lost 2 games, and that was to Duke. But I remember Virginia in the beginning because of Ralph Sampson in 1980, 80, 81. Oh, what was it? 81,
Just so y'all
82,
know,
83,
just so
84.
y'all know, I wasn't thought of.
No, you was not thought of. And I was in high school when this was happening, so it was a long time ago. But I remember that. I remember the Phi Slamma Jamma. I still remember seeing,
You were probably watching that Fab Five game when what's his name called the timeout, weren't you?
oh yeah, Chris Webber.
Chris Webber when he called
Yep.
the timeout, weren't you? You were probably watching that game.
Oh, absolutely. And
I
then
get to watch the highlights. of
Coach
those games.
Valvano, Coach
Yep.
Valvano running on the court when that guy lost. I still remember I watched it live and he shot that. I was like, he's not gonna get it, and then all of a sudden this guy catches it and slams it. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the Phi Slamma Jamma got out-slammed 2-1. That was the second slam, which broke the tie and broke the game.
Wow.
I was like, oh my gosh.
That's insane, man. And the thing is, I'll be able to talk like this about guys today. Giannis, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, James Harden, Kawhi
Right.
Leonard, DeMar DeRozan. The list goes on of guys in my generation that I got to see play.
Right.
Just like you guys get to with guys that you got to see
Right.
growing up.
Absolutely.
Comparing to, because you go to a local basketball court today. What's everybody doing? Shooting threes. Period.
Yep.
Why? Steph Curry is the biggest name in in this younger generation's day.
Well, all of them, or a lot of them shoot it. Harden.
That's what people are doing. Are shooting threes.
That's all they do.
Really?
That's all they do.
Shit.
Yeah, you got Harden.
Yep.
You've got
Oh,
West-
they're doing the step back, all that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to see, kids do that. You saw it like when Griffey was playing baseball.
Can I step in?
Yeah, go ahead.
When we were growing up, you know who was shooting threes? The little white boy.
Yeah.
I was trying to do like dunks and layups and shit.
Yeah, we couldn't dunk, so we had to do something that they couldn't do.
Now it's
Right.
Now it's the opposite. Everybody shoots threes. I've seen some freakish athletes like we follow Grandview basketball.
Right.
Which by the way, they're 2 games from another state title.
Go Grandview.
Yep. Coach Reggie Morris, Little Reggie, all those guys.
I plan on
Good luck to you.
I plan on taking off Saturday and going down there for the championship game because I know that
Would that be this Saturday?
it'll be this Saturday.
Okay.
Friday night they play Logan Rogersville, the only team that they played last year, and they did beat them, took care of them. But they, the team right now that's really on a run is St. Mary's.
Yeah.
And they're like, and I want to say they're either barely under 500 or barely over 500.
Doesn't matter if
And
you're
they
hot
were-
at the right
right.
time.
And they were beating all the other teams, and they're in the other bracket. So if Grandview plays Mary's, it'll be in the finals.
Hot.
Yeah.
It's all about, and you'll hear us say that next week when we do our NCAA show because Selection Mondays next Monday. So
Exactly.
we'll know the exact tournament bracket, how it's gonna play out, how it's gonna unfold next Monday. And it's not gonna matter what's going on right now. It's gonna matter who's hot
Yep.
at the right time.
And
we
who's
see it
not.
every year. Who's hot at the right time?
Well, I want us to do a bracket.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
We'll do.
I
We're
do 50 every
Well,
year.
no, we're gonna do it on the show.
Oh, okay.
So that way we can tell people who we picked and
Yep.
all that, just to see who's better.
Okay.
We'll bet a Coke or a tea or something
Yep.
like that.
A trip to Mexico City.
Ooh, there we go. I'm looking forward
For
to
the Chiefs game next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Coach Morris, remember, if you do win the championship game, I want you and your son, and I want Dre also, your 2 seniors, to come on the show.
Yeah, no doubt.
We won't do it on Monday because we'll give you a chance to recover, but possibly like the next Thursday or whatever, something like that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, we want you on the show. Coach Morris, Grandview Bulldogs, go get them.
Yes, no doubt. Fight you Grandview Bulldogs for alma mater. Fight. So Go out, do it, do your thing, go get 2 in a row, and I promise you have all the support from all of our fans and all your guys' fans as well.
Absolutely.
But we were talking about the West Coast swing.
Right.
Well, let's switch it over a little bit. Our boys in blue are in Surprise.
Yeah. Yep.
And seeing some good things in spring training.
Yes.
I like what I'm hearing from Cody Tapp, the new 6'10"
I like
Royals
him.
insider.
I do like him.
He found a way to get like Ned Yost to laugh and all that stuff, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Especially
because
for
Ned
just
Yost
starting.
hardly laughed.
Oh yeah, so it's I like what he's doing. I like what I'm hearing from the team.
Yep.
And I liked what he said, and I want your input on this. He said that he is 99% like involved or invested in this decision to say that Adalberto Mondesi is a top 5 MVP candidate this year.
Yep. They've talked about that.
Yeah.
And he has that possibility.
Oh, no doubt.
Saying that, they're already talking about a possible long-term contract with him, big dollars, at least $100 million.
Yeah.
So, but he's got to perform this year. He's really underperformed so far.
Last year he was.
Well, he started picking it up at the end of the year, but this year in spring training, he's been playing well. He's being the 5-tool player that he was when he was drafted.
Yep.
So, and this year, and they said that he's by far the best player in spring training so far.
Yep.
But we just going to have to see how he does, and I'm hoping to be out there. My best friend, he's got season tickets out there, 12 rows behind third base. So I may go to a few games. There may be a time where maybe he'll let us go to the game and stuff like that. We could even do a show from there.
Yep.
So, but I look forward to it. Even when they're not playing well, I will still listen to them. I will still watch them. Everything else, I'll still check up on them and everything else. I'm a true Royals fan, always. The slogan this year is Royals baseball always.
Always Royal.
Always Royal. So and I've been always a Royals fan. Yes, I'm a Padres fan too, but I was a Royals fan first. I will always be a Royals fan, no matter how good or how bad. It just makes me determine on how angry I am
exactly
on the record.
I will say this. Baseball is a little bit of a different sport.
It is.
Because you can like multiple teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I love the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
The Boston Red Sox have a team to just like. Like when in spring training, they had Mookie Betts mic'd up during a pitching change and all this other stuff, and he's out there just having a good time.
Right.
And people don't understand this because they've never been on a baseball field before.
Right.
There are conversations going on between players during the game.
Oh, yeah.
They laugh. They do all this other stuff. They throw seeds at each other. They have fun.
Well, and even like the first baseman, when a guy hits a ball, goes to first base, those two will talk.
Yeah.
Especially if they're both first basemen.
Yep.
Then they'll talk to
Just checking in on Andrew Pena. We actually played at the same college. Hey, he understands. You have to have fun because it's a grueling game. When it gets to 100 degrees, 105 degrees, and you're just standing out there getting scorched,
right?
you have to do something to make it fun.
Exactly. And unlike basketball, I mean, I'm not even going to go with football because football is a weekly thing.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Even
in football, I don't root for any other team.
Right.
It's one team.
Well, I was the 85 Bears fan, so we'll
go.
But the NBA, the NHL, they didn't play every day.
Yeah.
They played maybe 2 games in a row, and then they were off 3 games.
And now they don't even do that anymore because of the NBA strike.
Exactly. So now, but Major League Baseball, you play roughly 6 out of 7 days in a week, and sometimes 7 days.
Sometimes longer than that.
Right. Sometimes 14 to 18 days. Now, normally they don't try to do 18 days, but sometimes they played 2 weeks in a row. Sometimes they had to make up for a rain cancellation. So they put it in here on their
day-night doubleheaders.
Those are rare.
Those are rough.
But they still do them.
Those are rough.
Yeah.
8.5, 9 hours at the ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, they do that anyway, but it's in a training room. It's taking BP. It's eating your meal.
You can relax a little bit.
It's not. You play at 11.
Yep.
Game's over by 2:30, and you're back on the field at 5.
Right.
And you play another 3.5, 4-hour game. Baseball is just different. It's a different animal.
Right.
And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because, like I said, you can like other teams.
Right.
It's easy to root for other teams. How do you do it? Well, I root for the Brewers. Why? Yeah. Because they're the Royals 2.0.
Right.
They have some of my favorite players of ever in my baseball life.
Oh yeah,
that team. Lorenzo Cain.
I've got 3 or 4 jerseys of him.
Lorenzo Cain, Mike Moustakas, Christian Yelich, who I did call was going to be MVP last year.
Yeah, and he was.
And he was, along with Mookie Betts. Baseball players, once you get to a point, are just so likable.
Right.
That you root for them no matter where they're at. Do I check in on Hosmer? Yes. Do I follow the Padres? No, because first off, they play on the West Coast, and we don't get a lot of their games.
But see, I follow the Padres because I've been a fan of theirs since 1975.
See, and that's the difference. You're a fan,
right?
I like Hosmer.
Right.
I
remember Randy Jones winning the Cy Young in 1976.
Yeah, and you remember 5.5, Mr. Hit.
Yep.
Tony Gwynn.
Dave Winfield played for the Padres.
You remember all of those guys.
Ozzie Smith played for the Padres before he got traded to St. Louis.
Yep, where he turned into the Wizard.
He turned into the Wizard. And actually, at the time, the trade was a good trade because they traded for Gary Templeton.
Oh, yeah.
But Gary Templeton tore his knee shortly afterwards and was never the same player. So it made it look like that the Cardinals got the best of the trade and San Diego got hoodwinked. But it didn't. It was just that it was a tough break.
Yep. And like we talked about the Brewers, the Yankees, they have likable guys. Aaron Judge is a likable guy. You have Giancarlo Stanton, a likable guy. You hear young baseball players, oh, yeah, I'm about to hit dingers like Stanton and blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, you're not going to because you're not 6'8", 200 and some odd pounds, and you don't squat 1,000 pounds either. He's a freak. But in baseball, it's so much easier to relate to guys. In basketball, it's not easy to relate to LeBron James.
Right.
Because you can't be as big as LeBron James.
No.
It's not easy. You can't relate to Shaq.
No.
Unless you're 7'1", 340 pounds.
Right.
But in baseball, Mookie Betts, short guy. Yeah. Dustin Pedroia, short guy.
And
you have tall, lanky guys. Yeah, you have tall, lanky guys. You don't ever hear about basketball players doing extracurricular stuff. Ray Allen played golf. You don't really hear football players doing extracurricular stuff. Larry Fitzgerald plays golf.
Well, CP3 bowls.
Yeah,
too.
CP3 bowls as well. Yeah. But outside of them, who do you really hear do extracurricular stuff? LeBron James isn't playing golf.
No.
But you had like Mark Mulder playing golf.
Right.
You had Mookie Betts on the. He could be. He is a professional.
Right.
But he doesn't have the tag of professional.
Seth Curry does.
Yeah.
And so does Patrick Mahomes because they told him not to play basketball, or he said he's going to stop playing basketball because of all the backlash from that video. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
He's just showing you how much money you need to give him in the contract because he's an athlete.
Yeah, exactly. And he was playing. He
did good.
He was playing
that one play. He did good.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But that baseball players are so much more relatable because they're so much like me and you. They can be short, dumpy guys, but they can also be just extremely jacked guys. Altuve, he's 5'6", 5'7".
Right,
and he hits.
And we tower him.
And he hits 27 home runs a year.
Right,
with 90 to 100 RBIs.
Well, yeah, but he has a bat as long as him.
Well, that's just because that's how. I mean, he swings a 34-inch bat.
Right.
But because he's so small, it looks that way. Lorenzo Cain swings a 37-inch bat.
Right.
But they're so relatable. You see Salvi. Every time you see him, he has a smile on his face.
Oh, yeah.
I follow him on Instagram. Even before surgery and after surgery, Salvi's smiling. You know, the only person that I don't really relate to is Alex Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's just not a relatable guy.
No, he's
you know,
not.
but Mike Trout, relatable. You know, and it goes across the board. Christian Yelich, great guy. You look at the Boston Red Sox, Brock Holt, J.D. Martinez, those guys are relatable. You know, baseball is a testament of how hard you work. It's not a potential sport. You don't get drafted on potential.
Right.
You get drafted on what you can do.
Right.
Period. Whereas in basketball, if you're 7 foot, you might get drafted just because you're 7 foot.
Right.
They think they can turn you into a basketball player. In baseball, it's a testament of how hard you work. Granted, you have hard work in other sports as well. But when I'm talking about draft stuff, it's all based off potential. You know, football, based off potential. Kyler Murray, 10 years ago, he's not getting drafted.
No.
Because he's undersized.
He was
extremely undersized.
And he was playing football and baseball, and they wasn't sure where he was going.
Exactly.
You would have to prove it to him. Because even when Deion Sanders did his baseball and football, you know, people, the Braves were balking at it. You know, they weren't happy of what he was doing.
Yep.
You know, because they were playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. Even though they made it to the World Series, they still had issues with him, and that's why he got traded to Cincinnati. Because they didn't want to have to put up with it. But he was a great player, and he still showed up. He played that night, and then the next day played Atlanta football, and then he went back to Pittsburgh on a plane and played that night.
Yeah.
So,
and the days of that are kind of over at the professional level, I should say.
right.
Yes, Russell Wilson does the minor league thing, but he's not stepping on the bump facing Aroldis Chapman. He's not stepping in the box facing Aroldis Chapman or Aaron Hicks or, you know, before your rest in peace, before your Donald Ventura died, your Donald Ventura.
Right.
He's not stepping in the box against those guys. He's stepping in the box against guys in single A ball, you know, who got an
Double A
invite,
ball, yeah.
double A ball, who got an invite to spring training.
Or Garth Brooks when he decides to play.
Exactly. You know, so those are the guys he's facing. And it's just, baseball is just such a unique game.
Yeah.
And they're trying to change it, move the mound back 2 inches, trying to have the pitching clock. And I agree with Bryce Harper on one thing. This game is not a timed game. This game is based on how often you can outthink the other person.
Right.
It's a game of chess.
Exactly.
It's a smart man's game. Not discrediting football players or basketball players or hockey players.
Right.
But it's a smart man's game. You know, you go to college for 3 years, maybe 4. Because you have to go for 3 years if you go Division I.
Right.
It's just, there's just so many aspects to the game to take into effect. Like pitchers. Pitchers seem smart, right? When they throw no hitters. It's not the pitchers. It's the catchers.
Yeah.
The catchers are calling the game.
Right.
Maybe the pitcher has a, you know, shake him off every now and then. But
So if the pitcher's so awesome when he throws a no-hitter, is he that bad when he gives up 5 runs in 3 innings?
Exactly. It's a game within a game.
Yeah.
Because you've seen Hall of Fame pitchers. Nolan Ryan gave up 8 runs once or twice in his career.
Oh, yeah.
But he's considered the greatest pitcher to ever walk the planet.
Oh, yeah.
Randy Johnson, the big unit, gave up runs, gave up home runs many times.
He even blew up a geese.
He even blew up a bird, you're right, with a 102-mile-an-hour pitch. You know, but those guys would struggle. Right. And in baseball, you'll have the highest of highs and you can have the lowest of lows, all in the same week.
Exactly.
So you don't really see that in basketball. LeBron James, if he's playing, he's probably scoring 25-plus points.
Right.
You don't really see him score 25 points for, 2 weeks, and all of a sudden he doesn't score any points.
No.
Well, that's what happens in baseball. You can have a big time 2 weeks in baseball where you're just tearing the cover off the ball. You're hitting 405 in 2 weeks, in 8 games or whatever. And then all of a sudden you have an 0 for 30 stretch.
Right.
And you're thinking, well, what in the heck? There it is right there, blowing up the bird.
There it is.
And all of a sudden you're thinking, man, is this game for me?
Uh-huh.
But then you get out of it and you go on another tear. You know, baseball gives you the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
Right.
And that's why I love it so much.
Well, look at it like this. Mr. 5.5, Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn.
Yep.
He batted he's got the highest batting average in the last 50 years.
Yep.
And he failed in batting 65% of the time.
Yeah.
There's no other sport that does that.
No.
You know, I mean, but he was the greatest hitter. There was years where he struck out maybe 10 times all year long, or 100. Or
he had 4 seasons where he struck out less than 10 times.
There you go.
He played 19 years.
20 years.
20 years.
Played 20 years.
So in 20 years, 700, 800 at bats. Mm-hmm. The man struck out less than 10 times, 4 times in his career. Mm-hmm. You have Aaron Judge striking out 270 times a year. Mm-hmm. Giancarlo Stanton
he could strike out 10 times in a week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, what? He could strike out 10 times in 2 days.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, forget a week, you know. But that just shows you how the game has changed. Guys are going for the power, the flashiness. Tony Gwynn didn't do flashy stuff.
No.
Pete Rose didn't do flashy stuff.
No, but he won other awards. He won silver bats, you know, for being
the
best.
Silver Slugger. Oh,
Silver
heck yeah.
Slugger. But he also won batting crowns. He also won gold gloves. So,
great outfielder.
Right. And he could steal bases. Now, he didn't hit a lot of home runs, which wasn't sexy, but he didn't need to.
Do you want to know who perfected Tony Gwynn? Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds perfected Tony Gwynn with the fact that he has a career average over 300, which isn't comparable to Tony Gwynn, by the way.
Right.
I think it was 331 was his career average, I believe. But Bonds over 300, the power, the mobility, the outfield prowess. He's the only man in the 50-50 club.
Right.
And he's the only man in the 500-500 club.
Right.
500 stolen bases, 500 home runs, 50 stolen bases in a season, 50 home runs in a season.
Right.
He's the only member in both, and it's only him. Mm-hmm. You know, that just shows you how athletic some of these guys are. You know, Tony Gwynn played basketball through high school.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds played basketball and football through high school. You know, these guys are athletes. And back to what we were talking about, the Royals. Now you have probably the best middle infield tandem, maybe outside of Houston, because you have Altuve and Correa. But Witt and Mondesi, you could see these two guys being really good for the next 4, 5, 6 seasons.
And that'd be awesome.
I mean, it is. I mean, Witt last year led the league in stolen bases and hits.
Right.
Mondesi was 2 steals behind him to lead the league, and he missed 45 games.
Right, exactly.
That's scary. You know, and Mondesi has the potential to hit 20, 30 home runs.
And still 50, 60 bases.
Actually, Cody Tapp even said it would be higher than that. They said he has the type of speed to be in the 70 stolen bases range.
Right, but the only problem is today's game they don't dwell on stolen bases like they did in Ricky Henderson's era.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I'm saying 50 to 60.
Oh, yeah.
So if he can steal more than that, that's great. I would like to see that. But it's just hard to see that because everybody wants to hit it out of the ballpark. That's why these stadiums are built smaller. You know, not like Royal Stadium, you know, which is one of the hardest places to hit home runs.
Yep.
You know,
outfielder's dream.
Exactly. And that's why it benefited the Royals, because they had AstroTurf, they had fast guys, and they hit line drives that
and it's
hit
still
in
that
the
way.
corner. Right. It's still that way. Now they have grass, so it's a little bit different, but still. It's still not that. It's still not that way, and I would like to see it that way. I like to see stolen bases. I remember I used to watch Ricky Henderson. He'd walk, steal second, steal third, score on a sacrifice fly.
Yep, and that's what Mondesi is going to bring. Mm-hmm. How many times last year did we watch Mondesi walk, gone, sac fly? We're up 1 in the first inning.
Yeah, exactly.
Granted, our pitching staff would blow it, but still. It shows you the ability that he has within himself. And Whit Merrifield hitting 25 home runs last year. Yeah. Big deal.
Exactly.
Mondesi hitting 19 and missed 45 games.
Right.
45 games is a big chunk of the season.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you had Salvador Perez with 25, which you're going to miss that this year. But you had O'Hearn and Dozier who came up.
Yeah.
And those guys combined for 30 home runs each. Not each, but combined for 30 home runs.
Right.
And they only played in 60 games.
Right.
You know, do those numbers get to 60 between the two? 50, 55 between the two?
Yeah.
I think it can. You know, the team isn't as bad as people really think it's going to be. I see this team. You asked me a week ago, and I told you I want to see what's going on with spring training a little bit, where we fall, all that stuff.
Right.
I think this team is a 75 to 80 win team.
I say right now, if we win 75 games, it's almost a success because right now I don't see it. I'm hoping.
Obviously, you're probably not seeing it from the pitching side.
No.
Because defensively and offensively, it's there. But the
Right.
pitching is where the big question mark is.
But see, spring training, you can have a player that's hotter than lava.
Oh, yeah.
And then start the season and they're horrible.
Bubba Starling.
Right. Or you can start off horrible.
Sorry, guys. I hate on Bubba Starling a lot.
In spring training, couldn't hit a lick.
Yep.
And then he starts off the first month with almost career month.
Oh, speaking of the Royals, I called something else.
What?
Martin Maldonado coming to the Royals.
Oh, yeah.
Great defensive guy. Not going to be great on the offensive side. He's not going to be Salvi. But defensively, you're not missing anything.
Right.
Like we talked about. Salvador Perez has 6 of the last 7 years Gold Gloves.
The other
Who is Maldonado.
Absolutely.
Was a free agent, so we needed a guy to come in and replace that. And we have the most depth at the catching position in the league across the board. You know, from AAA to single A to rookie ball, that stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'm pretty pumped up, man. You know, there's some guys that are at spring training right now that aren't going to be on the 25-man roster.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have like Schwindel, Starling.
Yeah.
You know, those guys aren't going to be on the 40-man or on the 25-man roster. Right. So Valoria or Cam Gallagher is going to be our second catcher.
Right.
Who's it going to be? One of those guys is going to get left in AAA ball, you know. But it's good to know that you have fallbacks.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In the minor league systems,
and
that's how you end up winning championships.
Oh yeah.
You know, the Royals and their organization are back to winning championships at the lower level of the minor leagues.
Right.
They won it in single A last year, and they won it in developmental ball. They won it in I don't know which team it is from Idaho Falls. Right. They won it. They won their championship. So you see the trend happening again. Those guys that won the World Series with us, won championships from single A all the way up.
Right. Exactly.
And then they ultimately won it in the World Series.
They played together.
Yep. And now you're seeing it again. Right. So
real quick, Liz, we're doing well. Good to see you.
How are you going to watch on his, but not mine?
Because I'm the stud.
Oh my goodness.
Awesome. And Tristan says, how do you feel about the Chiefs' moves so far? Right now, it's good. I like the fact that they got Matthews. I didn't really want to see Houston go, but he had to go for money value reasons.
I'm not gonna lie, I cracked a tear a little bit today listening to some Chiefs songs. So just knowing the end of an era is here.
Yeah.
You know, when they said Hosmer signed with somebody else, I'm not the only one who cracked a tear. Moustakas, when they said he signed with somebody else, I wasn't the only one that cracked a tear.
Well, you want to keep these teams. You can't keep these teams like they were in the 70s and the 80s. It just, free agent is impossible to do that.
It's all about the money.
It is all about the money.
It's all about the money.
And it looks like we're a little bit after 9, so we will be getting off here. Donnie, it was good to see you, bud. A lot of people watched.
Jimmy Berrigan finally tuned in, but it's a little
about time,
late now.
Jimmy. Yeah. So,
but you know, there were a couple other things that we had to talk about, but I think we save NCAA for next week, Thursday or Monday.
Thursday.
Either way,
we can do that. Yeah.
Roy Williams. Yeah, no, Coach K, not Roy Williams. Coach K said that Zion should be ready for the ACC tournament. Whether he plays or not, it's a different story.
Right.
So Thursday we'll elaborate on that a little bit once we find a little bit more out.
Well, we will find out on Thursday if he is playing.
And then the fifth golf major of the year is the Players Championship, and that's this weekend.
What's the fifth?
They call it the fifth because it's played at the same place every year. It's like the biggest tournament outside the majors. So they call it the fifth tournament, the Players, the Claret Jug, or the Players Cup, or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, because it's
played
the
at
PGA,
TPC.
the Open, the British. Well,
Yeah,
they call that the Open.
Yeah, they got the Open.
Masters.
They have the Open, the Masters, the U.S. Open, and
PGA
and the PGA Championship. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the Players. Okay.
But the Players Championship isn't a major. That's just the biggest tournament outside of the major. So they consider it the
Right.
fifth major.
Exactly.
So
Donnie, I agree with you. Honey Badger. Yes.
yes, it was a good pickup.
So.
But we can get into that on Thursday as well
We'll
because
do
that'd
that.
be opening round of
Yes.
the tournament. So
Yes. And Ryan Westa, we want to thank you again
Yep.
for producing our
yep,
show.
most definitely.
And throwing in your 2 cents.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, what up?
There you go. There you
Welcome to
go.
Neandertalk Cave, baby.
There you go. There you go.
And look, now Jason Pleacher wants to get on here.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
guys.
where were y'all
been
at
on-
7:00? We've been on for 2
Tell me
hours.
this shit on YouTube.
Yeah.
B-Dawgs Sports Show on
Yep.
YouTube.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, guys.
Check that out.
Make sure you guys check out the show. It'll be on KUAW, LPFM. Obviously it won't be live because we did it live tonight.
Right.
Also go to YouTube, B-Dawgs Sports Show. That's B-DAWGS. Sports Show on YouTube. Check out the show. Give us feedback. You can comment on the YouTube videos, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's gonna be one of these days, man. We're gonna look back on this and just be like, look at where we came from. You know, look at where we grew.
Yep.
And it's gonna be because of you guys. So
Yep.
keep watching, keep tuning in. Listen to us on Thursdays and Mondays. And there's still a special announcement that we have to wait for.
We will.
But it's coming.
It will be worth it. So just
it
just
will be
hold
worth
on.
it.
Just hold on.
It'll be worth it. But
Yeah.
So that was a good night. It was a good night.
Absolutely. I think it was an awesome night. So with that, I am Brian Crest, the awesome voice, with my partner, Stefan Gritty Gradine, and our producer, Ryan Westa, for tonight.
Yep.
We are the B-Dawgs, and you guys have yourself a great evening. Oh, one more thing. Be awesome, not angry. Hey, and I did that with the class today. I read today, and we talked about being awesome and not angry. So that class, the early childhood from Frida Mackley School, I would just want to say hi to you guys. And Diane, I saw you earlier. That's great. With that, I am Brian Crest, the awesome voice, Stefan Grady Gradine, Ryan Westa. We are out of here.